What's up, world? You already know who it is. Maurice Paramore, back with another episode for your favorite director. And I'm here with a special guest, a friend of mine, a partner, a colleague, and a writer. Definitely a great writer. A director now is getting into the director field, and an amazing actor. And I have with me Issy Caraballo. Is it here?
Yeah, just like that.
Okay, man. I'm excited to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's always a great conversation when we get together. How's everything going, man? How's the new year shaping up for you?
Well, you know how some people have the whole New Year's resolution thing.
Yeah.
I never do.
Nah?
No. I'm doing it all the time.
Every day is the New Year's resolution.
High energy, happy to do it.
Yeah.
In it to win it.
That's what it's about, man. Talk a little bit about yourself, because obviously you're in the film industry, but let's go back because you are a retired sergeant?
Deputy chief in the police
chief?
department, but retired a master sergeant from the military.
Okay.
So I'm retired from both.
So how did you get into the military? What made you get into the military? That. Let's go back. I know that's some years back.
Go back. Like coming up in Newark, I joined when I was 17, joined the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So I was 17 in boot camp. Actually, my 18th birthday was in boot camp. I had 9 days to go before we graduated.
Okay.
When everyone was celebrating their 18th birthday, I was, who knows what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So that's how I got in. I did 5 years in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And it came out. I was out for 14 and then decided to go back in, this time into the Air National Guard, the Air Force component.
Okay.
The National Guard component of the Air Force. And that motivation was more for school. You want a degree and you want to learn some things, and the question is who's going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that I'm being honest, and the military was a way.
Way to get you out of Newark.
Out of Newark. Yeah.
I got friends from there. I went to school at William-Patterson, so I got a lot of friends.
Good. Let me tell you something. Good people in Newark.
Yeah, it's an interesting town, man. I mean, like I said, I got a lot of good friendships from that area. So let's talk about before you got into the film industry. Were you a fan of movies and film in general? Did you go to the movie theater a lot?
As a kid, we went and saw karate movies. You got to see 2 movies for $1.50.
Oh, you can't beat that.
Those are the times.
You like that, what?
Yeah, so the karate movies, and then the whole science fiction thing. Like Alien, Predator. So that's my interest as far as writing is science fiction.
Okay.
But as far as acting, I'll take on any role.
Anything that goes.
Most any role,
Yeah, that works for you.
Yeah.
When did you find yourself kind of itching into the game? Okay, you know what? Maybe I want to do something like that. Did you start early? Did you get into the game late?
No, it's all late.
Late.
What happened is
So you like Morgan Freeman type of vibe?
Yeah.
I don't know if he has any young roles, but
yeah, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Same thing. All late.
Yeah.
But what happened is I had a bachelor's and master's degree already.
Okay.
Then I went back for a second bachelor's in history.
Okay.
And the way that happened was I put in for a teaching certificate.
Okay.
Teach social studies, and I had to take some more history classes. So I also took some electives for that second bachelor's degree at Rutgers, and I took some acting classes. And I always had an interest to be an actor, but again, how do you get into it? How do you start? And that was the way it worked is at Rutgers, taking those acting classes and then eventually taking acting class in the civilian world. Which gives you a different exposure.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have both. And I think that's a good idea for actors, if they can, and I'm not saying that they have to matriculate in college and get a whole degree in it, but they can actually take some classes and see the difference, how they teach acting, and then how you learn it in the civilian world. For the most part, it's the same, but there are some nuances.
Some differences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's dope. So, when do you remember the first thing that you got involved with? The first time you was on screen,
on camera. Yeah, you know, my
whether it was
boy,
a line or
Nimi. You know, a lot of people know Nimi. You know, Nimi Hendrix in Newark.
Okay, shout
Great,
out to Nimi.
great guy. Yeah,
great director.
yeah, and you know, someone said, hey, you know, they need a preacher.
Okay.
So I played a preacher for him in a scene in a cemetery.
Oh,
that
nice.
was 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
that
So
was
it's
your first.
all brand new. Yeah.
You really like Samuel in this game, man.
Yeah. I'm late 50s. You know.
That's the beauty. But that's the beauty thing. That's the beautiful thing about I think the filmmaking industry, that there's no age limit.
Right.
You know,
right.
like coming up in the hip hop arena, it was like, all right, you had to be in the game by like 18, and by 25, 30, you was out the game.
Right.
Now they pushing that, you know, back a little bit more. Cats are getting in at 25. Hov and them is, they still rapping at 50. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that is stretched a little bit, but I don't think nobody want to hear a 70-year-old rapper. But the great thing about film, there's a role for a 70-year-old.
Right.
There's a role
right.
for
You need a
80-year-old.
grandfather. Right.
Yeah,
right. You need a
that.
judge.
Exactly. So this is something that you can do forever. You know, we
Yes.
seeing directors, Martin Scorsese's,
Right.
people that's in their late 70s, Brian De Palma's, you know, they're still killing it, still doing their thing in this later age. And I think that's the beauty about this industry, that,
Right,
you know,
right.
we can do it, you know, forever. Do you see yourself doing it for a long time?
Yeah, to the end.
To the end?
I like what I do.
Do you?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
This is not easy. You know, for the person that wants to act and they're serious about it,
Yeah.
you know, they can tell you this is not easy.
Yeah.
To sit there and like, you know, look at the scenes I've done for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hours.
myself and Chris Alec, you know, we worked on that. You know, it's just not, you can't just come in and sit down and just
And get it.
and get it. You know, there's work behind that. And, you know, for the serious actor, they can do it. It's doable,
Yeah.
but you have to put the time in.
Yeah.
You know, people say, they call it doing the work.
Yeah.
And I think part of that issue is that many actors don't completely understand what that means to do the work. They think it's memorizing lines.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it.
Yeah, small part too.
Small part.
And I think, just speaking on the memorizing lines, you know, you have to memorize your lines before you even get into the acting aspect of it. You know what I mean? On set, in the sense of like, I see a lot of actors struggle with, they're on set and they're not acting yet because they're still trying to memorize the lines.
Yes.
So you got to memorize the lines so you can now start digging into the character, digging into the scene. You know, you got to.
Right, you can't even get to that point.
You can't even get to developing the character if you're still trying to remember your lines. Right. And that's why.
Well, you know, that's where you see the actor where he's choppy.
And I was just about to say that. Where they say is, it sounds like you're reading.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're reading because you're literally just
you pretty much are
reciting. Yeah, you're just trying to. Oh, what was that? And it sounds like a robot, you know. And it's because you haven't memorized the lines, and now you can start developing it where it just becomes natural.
Natural, right?
You know.
Right. Before you get into the whole what the character's thinking.
Yes.
His inner dialogue.
Yes.
You know, what is he really saying? What is he feeling? Right. You just can't. Right. That's all part of the work.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think a lot of actors, especially new actors, where they realize that you have to really break down the character.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to become the character, but like you said, creating a backstory, whether it's in a script or not. And like, okay, what is this character going through? Where does he come from? Why is he saying this?
Right.
Why is he acting like this?
What is the relationship between the two characters?
Exactly. What happened before the scene?
Right, the moment before.
Yeah, that's pushing this scene, this next scene, that I don't know. Like you said, some people just think this coming on
just
set,
memorizing
lines and throwing some lines, and it's just like, no. You know, when I think about Denzel in Training Day, how this character was like created, right? And if you watched a lot of Denzel's work, none of his other roles were were similar to this Alonzo character.
Right.
But you realize how much work went into the mannerisms, the looks. You know what I'm saying?
Right, something that he's just not as a person.
Completely different.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it goes to show you the work and the effort that he's put in. to bring that character out.
Right.
Do you think is it something that actors don't realize they're not coached enough on that?
A part of it can be they just haven't had the right coaches.
Okay.
Because when you look on social media, you have acting coaches that are they advertise, come with me, or you'll speak to another actor and they'll say, this is the guy you have to get with.
Yeah.
And many times that is not the guy you need to be with. It's a matter of finding the right coach to really help you understand what all of these different behaviors, what it means. And I think that's the issue, just not having the right coach to sit you down and say, okay, like when you say, I'll give you an example. When you say, what is that character's inner dialogue? Many times an actor can't tell you.
They don't even know.
They don't even know. Or where does it come from?
Yeah.
And it comes from, what is it that he's really saying? That is the inner dialogue. So I just happened to be fortunate. I had a Herman Chavez as an acting coach. And this guy, he goes into the whole psychological aspect of that scene. Like he goes over a scene over a few days. And then he switches your character. Now you're the other character. So you and you trying to understand both characters. A lot of work, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do, the guy that played Joey D in King of New York.
Oh yeah.
Right? He also played Paul in Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah.
He's the guy at the bar.
Yeah.
Where when Samuel L. and John Travolta walk in, he greets him and he tells John Travolta he has to take Marcella's wife. So he's my acting coach.
Oh, nice.
Paul Calderon.
Okay.
So he also focuses on script breakdown, script analysis, and he really gets into physicality. Okay. He taught me how to move, because a lot of times you don't realize, like nerves or whatever, you don't realize how you're moving.
Yes.
So again, it's a matter of the actor having the right coaches. I even had Tasha Smith.
Oh, nice.
Oh, let me tell you something. If you ever take her class, come right.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple actors cry.
Oh, she get on you. She just got that vibe.
She scared me.
But it's an interesting point that you said about how the character moves, and it was something that Brian De Palma said. One of my favorite directors did Scarface, did Carlito's Way, and he said one of the things we're working with Al Pacino, it was like poetry in motion watching him move. And it's not always about what you're saying. I think actors always just think it's just what you're delivering lines, but sometimes you're acting, not saying anything. And it was just like, he had these running scenes. Half the movie, he's just running and moving and walking. And it was just like, the director felt it was so poetic the way he was moving. And when I went back and saw that, like really looked at him, like, you know what? He does move a certain way. He just got this like bounce to him. And it's really developing a character. If you think about like Scarface, like his mannerisms, his looks,
like in Heat,
that's a skill.
Right.
It's a skill. I don't know.
You know what they call that?
What?
You move with purpose. Every movement, when you're in that scene, everything you do has to have a purpose.
I like that.
And a good acting coach is going to ask you, okay, so why did you move that way? Like they work you. They work
you. People doing stuff and you don't even know why.
Like people, everyone wants to be an actor, and you even said that to me once. We were having dinner that one day when you filmed those scenes for me, and you even said it. You said everyone wants to be SAG. Everyone wants to be what's the other thing? Famous. Everyone wants to be in a movie.
Yep.
But how do you get there?
How do you get there? Are you willing to put in the work? Are you ready to strip all that down and just grind for X amount of time and say, listen, I might not get paid for a while, might not be seen, but I'm putting in the work. You know what I mean? And I think Denzel said it when he was interviewing with Jamie Foxx. He said the best best way to branding yourself is good acting. just good acting. So
and that takes a long time to get. Yeah.
It's not about being in everything. And he was talking about, like he said, if you drink too much water, you'll get wet. You know what I mean? Because I think Jamie was asking him about, like, is it about just being in everything and being seen? He said, no, man. The best branding is just the best work. Putting your best work out, whether it's 1 film or 10 films. If you have 10 films and they're all garbage,
right, no good.
It's
You're not
no
going
good.
anywhere. Yeah.
Not going anywhere. So it's like you said, like, who really wants to put in the work? And I had people hit me up all the time, man. And I'm all down for first time actors, people getting involved, but are you willing to put in the work? When you're called, are you going to show up on set?
Right.
Are you going to be on time? Are you going to learn the lines? And it's the worst when you have 2 actors, you know all your lines,
and the other one doesn't.
And the other one doesn't know nothing, and it's tearing the scene up, and it's throwing you off.
Yeah, and it makes you look bad.
Yeah, it makes you look bad. You can't deliver when your partner is not delivering. And
you know, I was in a class, and another acting coach of mine, Yuli Terrero, he's a nice guy, and he taught me the business. That was my first civilian class in the civilian world, as far as acting, and he taught me the business. And he helped me realize that I was not. I wasn't ready. No. You think you can act, and I learned in that class. Ooh, I need some classes.
I love that. That's that tough love, man.
Yeah.
And I think we sugarcoat so much. We want, first of all, we want to be where Denzel is.
Yeah, but
30 years later, today.
You can't just walk in there like that.
Yeah, we want to be, Hype Williams and Scorsese now. And it doesn't work like that. No. You go back and look at, some people got some good dynamite work in the very beginning, but it's like, to be where they at now, you got to put in that work.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to really develop. And to me, it's all about a body of work. That's why, again, I'm quoting Denzel a lot, but they always ask him, what's his favorite, best movie he's ever done? And he always says, it's my next film. Because he's always worrying about
you want to learn.
Next thing.
You're learning.
Because it's done. Once your work is done, it's done, right? It's out there. What's next? So I'm always trying to improve myself. I'm always trying to come out with better work. So it's like, me, I get caught up. I learned this from Kevin Smith. He was like, I think, even when I started out, we would do stuff, like I would make a film or people would make a film and they would be scared to like cut a scene or, if I take this one word, it's going to mess up the whole film. If you cut this scene out, it's over. And, what Kevin Smith learned to do is to cut the fat off his film. He takes his babies.
Whatever was a waste.
Whatever doesn't need to be there, I get rid of it.
Right.
And I had to do that with regrets, and we'll talk about that. The first cut was actually...
But I'm going to tell you something. When, you don't realize what a great director you are. Because I learned from you, man. When we were filming, and matter of fact, when I coach, and now I'm not a teacher.
Yeah,
but there are actors who call me and say, hey, can you help me out with my audition? And then you end up doing a little coaching because you want them to book the role. Yeah. And one thing I learned from you is when we were doing a scene, you told me, you said, like, take a second, like, look to the side, kind of laugh, and then bring it in, and it's like, just take your time with that,
Yeah.
And I use that all the time.
No, awesome.
So the point I'm making is that when you're on set, if you have an outstanding director that where it becomes an acting class, oh man,
right then and there,
you're like, thank you.
Yes.
Because it's rough. Sometimes you're on set and you're like, man, I'm not sure if am I doing this right?
You feel like you left out there dry. You on the island by yourself.
You need that director to say, listen, man, throw you that lifeline. Like, let me help you.
You might be doing this right, but this over here needs a little bit of work.
Right.
Just take a minute. We rushing. Whatever the case may be, you have to just embrace the process. You know what I mean? It's a process. And me, I give space for the actors to figure it out and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, all right, here you go. Let's try that.
But you have to come in ready.
But you got to come in.
You got to come in ready.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's not easy. And I think where people go wrong is they just see finished movies, right? And they like, I want to do that. But they don't know the countless hours.
How do you get there?
How to get there, the process, what you have to go through to get a good, solid product.
Well, for a start, a lot of these guys, they don't want to take an acting class.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And it's like, you have to.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, so I've seen people that are natural. I've seen that.
Yeah.
They're kind of natural. They kind of, like you said, the way Al Pacino, how they move, and you're like, oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you still need, you're going to come to a point, you're going to hit a wall.
Yes.
And you know, you're going to be missing a technique.
And I call that the it factor. Some people just have a gift, but that gift still has to be nurtured.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like Allen Iverson was my favorite basketball player ever. God gifted talent, but he never really worked on himself. And I think that hurt him in the long run. You know what I'm saying? And I think some people just have it. Like you'll see them in an audition, it's like, they just got this it factor. I call it like the it factor, the wow factor. But that alone is not going to catapult you. It's not going to. You can't just feed off of that. You just can't feed off your natural given ability. You still have to work on your craft. You still have to nurture that. You know what I mean?
So there's many different elements to that you need. Like I mentioned, the acting coach Yuli, right? So he focuses on teaching you how to function in the business, how to not run into fall into those traps. So you're a good actor. You know how to study the script. You know how to break it down. You know how to bring it in. You know how to memorize it. But now, how do you function in that business where you're working with people? You want to be able to. You want directors like yourself to say, "I like working with him. I want to put him in my next film," because it's all about the next film.
That's it.
Just like you said, what Denzel said, it's all about the next film.
Yes.
And if no one wants to put you in the next film, you're done.
You're done.
You're done.
And that's a beautiful thing. Like and a great point. And that's why people don't realize how much this game is about relationships. And we were just watching like Zoolander with Kevin Smith, and you think about like all the Adam Sandler movies and stuff like that, and you wonder why do they always have the same actors in the same movies?
Right, because they can work with them.
They're easy to work with. They know each other. You know what I mean? Maybe they're friends or whatever the case may be. But it's like you said, it's the next film, and it's really about the rapport. What is it like working on a set together, right? We sit, we talk, we build, but we get the work done. We have fun, but we get the work done.
Right.
And you know what somebody's gonna bring, and it's like, you know what? What other role can I find them? Me, I work with certain people, and I'm like creating roles for them.
Right.
I start creating roles, and I always tell people, like when you audition for me, you may not have, it might not be a character that fits you, but just let me see what you got. Because a lot of times
it might wake something up.
A character, a situation, and next you're creating, scenes or characters just for people that haven't even been in your films yet. So it's important to just do the work, follow up, have relationships. Network.
It's like when you film that one scene for me at the coffee shop. The scene is a coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
At the restaurant, and you rocked and roll, and we got it done in less than 3 hours.
3 hours.
And this was a 6-page scene.
Yeah, it was a lot.
There was a monologue in there. Yeah. It was a monster scene.
Yeah, it was.
And you rocked that in less than 3 hours, that's tough.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And we had what? Counting you and me, there were 10 of us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wasn't in it. I directed. I wasn't in it.
You wasn't in it.
You helped out great with your directing skill and your filming, and we're talking 7 actors, I believe.
Yeah, 7 actors, and we didn't have that much time for the coffee shop. They did. We had to because they were still running.
They were working.
Hours,
So customers coming in. Yeah, we learned we never do that.
It's hard to do, man. Find a spot where you can shut down.
Pay for it
if you have to, so you can control it. The greatest thing about the thing with filmmaking, you have to control as much of the environment as possible. Right. Sometimes you can't, and that's when you got to get real guerrilla. That's what I tell people. I go through this stage where I'm filming, I'm doing everything by the book, and then I realize, hey, we only got an hour left. It's time to turn into the guerrilla filmmaking, and we just gonna go, and we get the job done.
Right, and all of the actors, no matter how many times you told them, we're going to do this again, we're going to do this, let's move, now come in like this, no, don't hold this. When the security guard was bringing in the diamond thief, and he's holding, I'm like, whoa, he's not under arrest, right? And everybody's like clicking and taking direction. Yes. It's a dream. Like, I want to work with all of those actors again.
Yeah. It's just a good, like you said, we were talking about off camera, where it's like, you almost build, it feels like a family by the time you're done filming a
Yeah.
movie. You're literally like, you think that you knew these people for years, man. And it's such a great thing, especially, and that's only when it's right. It ain't always like that. Right. But like you said, I had a blast filming with everybody there where I was like, oh, we're going to shoot another scene. It was fun. You know what I'm saying?
We did it, yeah.
And you want to keep making more work with these people.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people that I've been working with, like even on Regrets, I done worked on 2 or 3 films already. You know, the recession and all this other stuff. And it's like, you know, you just constantly want to put these people in because they got good work.
You can create, yeah, you can create.
And, and they know how to work with you. But people don't realize.
And these actors, they all work for free.
Yeah.
They weren't paid.
Nah.
No compensation.
None.
You know, that's love. That's love there.
It is. But you know what that says? That says a lot about the creator, that people
want to work with you.
They want to work with you.
Yeah.
They believe in what you're doing. They trust in your vision.
Yeah. Leadership.
So it's because, you know, people don't have $20,000 to go into a film.
No,
you know, not starting out. And
no.
People need work. At this stage, we need to be in films. We need to be creating films. We need to be creating, again, that body of work. So somebody can say, hey, you know what? I've been seeing this person work. I'm going to throw them a bag. I'm going to throw them some money. Go make a film. Or you know what? Now you've been doing all this. I'm going to go put you in the next XYZ movie.
Right.
Give you some money.
And that's how you build.
And that's how you just
build. That's how you build. And it takes years for that.
It takes years, man. Yeah. I hope y'all enjoying the episode, but I had to interrupt to talk about my new film, Regrets. Yes, my new award-winning film, Regrets, is streaming now on Tubi for free. You can watch it on your phone, you can watch it on your tablet, you can watch it on your TV. It's a heartfelt film that I'm really proud of, and I think you will enjoy it. All you gotta do is download the app and type in Regrets. And again, it's free. So go watch it with your fam, share with your friends, and I think you will enjoy it. I'm really proud of this film. So go and watch Regrets and tell me what you think about it. Back to the episode. So speaking of that, like, how do you feel about the current just the current in indie filmmaking? How do you feel like the climate is right now? Like, in general, you know what I'm saying? We could break it down, but like, you know, from, you know, the Philly scene to New York, you're like a little further up north, Jersey. How do you feel the independent industry is right now? And then we'll get into it because you're SAG as well.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the, you know, independent versus, you know, being SAG. But,
right.
How do you feel about it?
As far as like the acting community, it's a small community.
Very small.
We all end up knowing each other. You know, like, you know, the Philly scene, you know, I know a couple guys, you know, from Philly. Yep. You know, nice dudes, hard workers. A lot of people from New York. We have, you know, quite a few from New Jersey. And we all end up knowing each other, just the way it is. Yep. And it's tough because everyone is on the come up. Mm-hmm. And that's where you need that love, that, you know, that where they want to work with you, where you say, listen, I can't pay you, but you know, I can use you in my film. Where a guy's willing to come out and put that work in. And if it's a script like the way I write, I kind of feel a little bad sometimes when, you know, I give them a scene, because I've seen actors actually run for the hills.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, you show them the script and they don't call you back. They're like, oh no, they don't. And it's like, well, you know, how much do you want to work? But
that too.
Yeah, the film industry is it's tough.
But that's tough. You know, it is tough. But I think that's how you weed out the people that's not serious. In a sense, not weed them out in a sense because they're not getting paid or not, but just what you said with who wants to work, who really wants to put out some good work, who wants to go through the trenches and just put in the work and build. And I don't think everybody wants that, and everybody doesn't have to.
That's the issue. The filmmakers, they're serious. You're serious.
Yeah.
You know, they are like real serious, and they want to make it happen. And I've seen some guys that actually try and pay you. Yeah. You know, they go with the lowest rate as far as SAG. You know,
scale and all that.
Even though if they go with the, like, you know, we talk about the micro, the SAG, you know, aspect of it. You know, there's ways around actually paying if you can't afford it. You can actually do it with no
on the
pay.
back end and stuff.
If we can get these guys that can show us, like, share their contacts and where we can get our films on, and again, I help you, you help me,
yes,
and we build that community.
Yes,
we have a lot of good talent that needs to, we need to tap into that,
yes,
and so forth, and going back as far as like we were talking about doing the work and getting to a point, and part of that is taking classes, and many times people don't have, like, especially now with the pandemic and everything, people don't have the funds to pay for a class, and classes, they're not cheap. Really cheap. Usually they are not free, but if you are an actor, you can always work a little background gig where you get paid, and you can pay for a class that way.
Use that and pay for something else. Right.
Like when I filmed those 2 scenes, like, I worked background to pay for that. You do it, you make it happen. So that's one way, of being able to afford stuff is, but if not, there's always other, you can find a job and save your money. Now, but here's the thing.
And all this other stuff, that's a whole nother conversation.
And just for about 30 seconds here, those same people that can't pay for a class, you see them at the club.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I don't go to clubs. How much is a drink at a club?
Listen, man.
Is it $15?
$15, $20.
A drink.
Yeah, and then you got the people that's getting sections, and they're buying $200-$300 bottles, and that's
that's a class. That's an acting class.
Done. You got that.
Yeah. So just wanted to make that point.
Yeah. Like I said, if there's a will, there's a way, and I think, like, again, it goes back to craft. You need to be doing the necessary things. It's an investment in yourself. That's how I look at it. It's like me being a filmmaker and I have to get equipment. I can go rent something, or I can, wait for somebody to lend me something, or I can save my money and go buy what I need to do.
And I'm gonna drive it this way. Without mentioning names, I've seen films. There's guys that they film stuff and they get actors, and you ask yourself, okay, which one of these guys took an acting class? And I'll put it that way, not to trash people or anything, but, like,
it's a very small percentage,
and it's not good.
No, it's not.
So a lot of these films are not good, and they are not going anywhere
because they're not good. And that's another thing about the independent game. And me, I always like constructive criticism.
Yes.
I want to know where I'm at. Where do I sit? You have this internal dialogue. You have your, how you see yourself. But at the same time, good work is good work. Trash is trash. And it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And the problem with the independent market now is that it's a gift and a curse. You have the access to a lot of equipment and stuff like now. 15 years ago, we couldn't shoot films because everything was too expensive.
Right.
So you have people that are not directors making films. You have people that are not actors, not training themselves.
Right. Acting in films.
And now you have all of this excess garbage because nobody's actually putting in the work. Like I said, it's a gift and a curse, even like back in the day, because you had gatekeepers and you had to go to school and you had to do all this stuff, but the films were good. Right. You know what I'm saying? The acting was good. Not everything, but it was like,
Maurice, I think that can affect us who are actually taking classes and trying to collaborate with those like yourself who know how to direct. Where someone is you may come up and say, hey, I have this, and they might say, oh God, another one of these. And they don't even want to look at your stuff because they've seen all this stuff on everybody puts a film on YouTube. So everyone's an actor.
Yeah.
And you watch this stuff on YouTube, and what you learn from it is how not to act.
Yeah.
It affects us.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of bad work out there. But you know what I've learned about, and we'll speak on a couple things, but if you look at it from like a competitive aspect where it's like, everybody's competing in one way, shape, or form. But what I learned that in this game, it's a marathon. And if you're willing to put in the work for a period of time, you're just going to outlast the competition. You know, you don't have to work. It's just like if 10 people start the race at the same time, only 2 are going to finish.
But Maurice, does it have to be competition?
No.
I don't think so. If I'm writing and you're writing and we're both filming, why can't we just work together? Why the competition?
Yeah, it's no need. And that's why I would actually wanted to speak on about the competition. And it was a little bit about what you learned to earlier. Just the community. Let's speak on that. Like, we talked about this earlier. The industry is very cliquey. You know what I mean? You have these people that just work with these people. You got people that just work over here. We only work over here. And like I said, it's sometimes it's a good thing because you're working with people that you like working with and all those things. But sometimes I don't think it's enough building, right? Building in community, building with different people. Do you feel that way? And or do you feel, what's the issue with that? Do you think it's egos going around? Do you think it's pride? Do you think
it could be that people get gun shy? Because you can't work with everyone.
Yeah.
You may have someone on set who may have a tendency for violence.
Yeah.
You can't have that on a set.
No.
You can't have, like, especially us, we both have, LLCs and you know production and if an actor's injured on your set, you might have a problem.
Yeah.
So you may want to tend to work with the people who there's not going to be a problem. Everyone's going to show up, be ready. We're going to get through it. We'll eat afterwards and have a good time.
Yeah.
With
no issues.
With no issues.
We're going to live another day to talk more films and make more projects.
So that could be an aspect where it just makes you gun shy. Like, I don't know. Do I want to work with someone that I don't know? There could be some jealousy too, because I hear.
But it's a reason for that. But
but when you post a product, right, and because it gives you the count, like how many people saw it versus how many people liked it. Yeah, you're like, oh, come on, man, can't give me no love.
Nothing, not even a like and nothing. That's people will watch you from a distance, and that's what I learned too. People are watching you. And that's why it's so important. That's definitely not the only reason or even a reason, but that's why you need to just put out good work and just do your thing, because you'd be surprised who's watching. Somebody that can help you or the haters that people say, but you just never know, like people sitting back. Because I've had people that said, yo, I watched you for 3 or 4 years, never had a conversation with you, but I've seen you doing your thing. And it's like, yo, I admire that. I want to work with you. I've seen your work. I've seen your growth. And you just never know who's paying attention to what you're doing. So you can't really get caught up on, what they call it, scorekeeping, man. We just playing. I worry about the score. Now you look up, you're winning or you're losing. But if you're constantly looking up at the score, you're going to miss what's going now.
Right. Don't let that be your focus, right? Just keep trying hard.
Just keep working. You know what I mean? Keep working. And like I said, it's not a competition in a sense of like who's better and all this, but what I've realized, just not even paying attention, that a lot of people that I started with, they're not in the game no more. They're not in the industry. They're doing other things.
Well,
and
because
it's not an easy game.
No, I've seen some, let's say, girls, not a lot, where they were outstanding actors. I mean, where I learned from them, watching them, like, ooh, that's a technique I'm gonna use. I like it. And it's so difficult to make it work. Next thing you know, they are shaking it at the club and then not really acting anymore.
Done.
And it's sad to see, because it's like, come on, like I have daughters, I don't want to see anyone do that.
Right.
And these are great actors, but they weren't, like you said, they weren't in it's not the marathon. They weren't running the marathon.
Nah, it's people get in it and they think that I've heard it where it's like, hey, I should have been on by now. Whatever that means. But I see a lot of times where it's like, people expect to be further than where they are. And that's a natural thing, right? We all want to climb. But then what I ask people, and I say this because I ask myself, well, what have you done to be further? Like, be honest. You can BS whoever you want, but you can't BS yourself, right? You can look in the mirror and say, all right, I did kind of slack. I haven't wrote a script in this time. I did one film in the last 3 years. I'm not auditioning. I'm not
haven't
studying.
Practiced a monologue, right? You're not doing anything.
Yeah, like I can't just pick up, like you just can't show up like Allen Iverson, again, my favorite player. You can't just show up at the game, right? Practice, right? You don't want to practice, that's part of the game. That's part of being ready for the game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people need to be serious about themselves and say, you know what? Either I'm not cut out for this or I'm not putting in the work. Whatever the case may be, is I can do more, and I know I can do more. You know what I mean? I've had my, like even the last few months of the year, in the year of 2021, it was just like, I had to kind of sit back and just like, all right, where am I at? Where am I going? What do I need to do more of? What do I need to start saying no to? Because sometimes you could just be everywhere, right? We saying, yes, it is. We over here, but we not, it's like running in place. Like DMX said, you know, you can be going nowhere fast, right? So I always try to be at least very, one thing I learned about this year is being very intentional with my life, my career, the things that I want to do versus the things that I don't want to do. And once you start becoming more intentional with your moves, you'll start seeing your progress. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just being serious, like taking it serious.
Yeah. It's tough business, you know.
Speaking of touch business, do you ever wake up and say, yo, what am I doing? What am I? Who am I fooling? But like this, it's not easy. Why do we put ourselves in this game when it's not like I can go to school? Like if we want to be a doctor, okay, go to school, go to med school, blase. 9 times out of 10, you can become a doctor.
Right.
There's no set pathway,
There's no blueprint
for filmmaking, acting, this industry. Why do we put ourselves through this day in and day out?
You know what it
disappointment.
is? You know what it is? We're storytellers. We want to tell stories, and it's a matter of you know, how intense, how much energy do you have into telling stories? That's what it is. I want to tell a story.
Yeah, and you got to get it out.
And you just want to get it out. So right now, no, I don't sit back to say, what am I doing? I know what I'm doing. I'm writing. I'm sitting there for hours writing, and I'm taking my time with it, putting thought into it.
Do you ever get discouraged?
No.
In any way? No?
No.
You locked in?
I'm locked in. I'm writing.
I love it.
I'm writing. You know, when you filmed for me, you know, you saw that work. You know, it took like those 2 scenes that you filmed for me. That was 8 hours of writing. 2 scenes, 9 minutes altogether. 9 minutes. That was it. 9 minutes. You can watch it. Boom. 9 minutes. You're done.
But
8 hours of writing.
Work of putting it in. Yeah, the 8 hours. But it's a very well thought out dialogue and the project in general. Let's speak a little bit about that. You said you love sci-fi.
I like sci-fi.
Tell us a little bit. I mean, as much as you can about the series. I know we shot like a couple scenes.
Right.
What is it about? Why? What is about this genre that attracts?
Well, the first thing that sci-fi does for me, not just that I love sci-fi, is that it gives me artistic liberty. I can write whatever I want. If I say that the person eats a certain food, it gives him this certain energy, and he flies, that's what it is.
You can do it.
That's what it is. It's done.
That's the world.
We're gonna write it, and we're gonna do it, and we're gonna film a guy flying after he eats whatever. Yeah. So that liberty
to create that world.
But
that's a beautiful thing.
What I do with my writing is I tap into the experience that I have, military, police, when I hung out on the streets as a kid, all of those things.
You bring it into your writing.
Bring it in, right? So people can connect and say, you know what, that's a real situation. Although the film is, come on. Like when we talk about my film, New Earth, it's about planetary colonization beyond Earth, right? I think it will happen in the future, but right now, can you get on a spaceship and go to a planet, right? But it's not just writing about going to another planet. It's about what happens once we get there. What happens on the way? Yeah. Because we're human. What is the human behavior? So that's where you can see, like, I get, all that energy. Yeah, and then I can.
It's a new world, and you can really create. Yeah,
right.
It's like when I found when I started writing a series versus like feature films. And you know, feature films, you got the beginning and you're trying
Middle
to get to
and
the
the
end.
end, right?
The end. That's it. You're trying to get to the
Series
end.
Series, it's tough.
In a series, it's again, it's one of those gift and curse things because it's like you have this canvas now that's so much bigger, and you're like, hold up, I got all of this space. I'm just used to just writing this, and it's a joy, but it's also like, okay, you have to be very articulate and careful with the storylines and where you're going because. Right. It can expand or you can cut it off too short, but then now you can really break down a character. You can, you know, establish them and all this, a lot of stuff that you can't do in a feature film because you just don't have enough time unless you're doing sequels and all of that. So how do you feel about series versus something that's more? Oh
man, I'll tell you what, like, so New Earth took me 5 months to write. So 155 page script, and I was able to write it. I knew what I wanted to happen, and I did. It was done. Now with the series, man, sometimes I sit and I say, okay, what's gonna happen in the next? I'm asking myself, what's gonna happen in the next episode? Yeah. And stuff happens where you can now it gives you the meat to go into another episode and create a circumstance. A whole other thing, yeah. Yeah, but it's tough. Yeah, you have to really, and you don't want to rush it, and you want to make sure that you're consistent.
Absolutely.
Because you have some people that are going to sit around, and they're going to watch your series, and they're going to show you where you were inconsistent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're going to say, wait a minute, this is supposed to have happened a year ago, but over here it's just. They're gonna break it down
because people they get invested into these characters,
they buy into
the story, and that's a good thing. You know, you created something that's believable, whether it's reality or not. People are following in this world, right? They're willing to go on a journey with these characters. And I learned something about the recession when I did the first season of my series. I remember it was almost a point when I think I was about to kill off one of the main characters. If it wasn't this first season, it was supposed to be on the second season. And I think it not to give too much away because actually I'm still writing it, but it was a character Nas where he was pretty much, they was going to get him out of there pretty early. You know what I mean? Because that type of energy, the type of stuff that he's doing, like obviously it just can't last. Like something's going to happen. Right. But what I realized is how important of a character he was. Right. Every good story needs a good villain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And get people to actually love the understand. Like, wait a minute, I see. You know, I see where he's coming from.
Yes, and I didn't understand how important that was until I put it out there, and the feedback, and was like, oh my gosh, like we need him gone. But it's because he's playing the role so well. You know, people are getting it and they're enjoying it, and you just learn more about the characters. Like I told people, I wrote the script, but I learned more about the characters after I did the first season. Right. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Now I know.
And you've only done one short, right?
No, I did like 6 shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did 5 or 6 short films, 2 features now, and a series.
Yeah, I've never written a short.
And you know what? My first film was Freestyle Love, which was a feature film. Didn't know anything about filmmaking. Just got it, picked out a camera, had a story, because I was always a writer, shot it. But then I wanted to learn filmmaking right? I wanted to hone in on my skills. And that's when I decided, okay, I did all of these things. Let me just focus on a short. And my next film was The Devil in Red Wine.
So you went from a full feature to a short?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I didn't know nothing about it, and I wanted to really hone in on the technical aspect, not necessarily the story.
So you were thinking as a filmmaker?
I was thinking as a filmmaker, not necessarily as a writer. I knew how to write stories. I was a hip hop artist before that. I always told stories.
Right.
But I was like, I know how to write a story, but I never really classified myself as a filmmaker until I did my first short, because I looked at it from the eye of a filmmaker. And now it's like, okay, let me take this story, but how can I convey this in a way that's going to get the audience to feel X, Y, Z, and the angles and understanding that. And for the next, 7 years, I did nothing but shorts, trying to hone in on short form, 2 or 3 scenes, and the technical aspect. And then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go back. And that's when I did the series, and then that's when I did Regrets.
You know what my thought processes is on shorts.
What's that?
Like, I don't think I would ever write a short.
Yeah, they're not for writers.
No.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't film a short. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I wouldn't write a short.
Yeah. I understand.
But I can take, like New Earth, I can take certain pieces and give you a short.
Like you did.
I can, right, well, yeah, that's kind of a short. Yeah.
You just pull scenes from
Right. But I can take the first part of the film, and that's a short where it's going to want to make you say, well, I want to know, okay, like,
what's next?
So they made it to the planet. Okay. Or on the way to the planet. Or how about when they get back?
Yes.
Right. So I can do 3 shorts out of it. Mm-hmm. Now, and what made me think this way is I've seen like premieres where they do shorts.
Yep.
And afterwards they have a panel on stage and they ask questions. And many times they weren't able to answer questions.
Okay.
Because they would say, well, this character, what happened to him afterwards? And they're like, oh, well, I haven't really written that part. And it's like, dude, you didn't come prepared.
Yes.
They can't answer the question. Now you're leaving a person watching and saying, you're not. Yeah. You're not. I'm kind of. I was vested in it. Now I'm like, So it ends. So it ended.
Yeah.
Where if you have the full feature, you pull a short from it, you can answer questions.
Yeah.
Or you can say, well, I want you to come and see the next part.
Yes.
And see what happens. I don't want to give it away.
Yep.
But if they sense that it ended, okay, it's done. You're done.
Yeah, that's it.
And that there said to me, oh no, I need to do what I'm doing. Write the full feature, and then just pull pieces. If someone, because someone may like if they may look at the 2 scenes you filmed for me, and they might look at it and say, okay, I want like the character XLR.
Yes.
And I've had people actually like send me messages on YouTube, and they've actually like they're into it. They were saying, okay, so what happened to her? I want to know. Does this happen? Does she do? So they buy into it.
Yeah.
Now I won't give it away as to what happens to her, but it's a lot happens to her.
No, that's a good point. I think for me with shorts was, I think shorts originally were supposed to be like calling cards, for a bigger piece.
So get you interested.
For a filmmaker, like, okay, let's say, and that's what happened with like Saws. I don't know if you're familiar with like the Saw series. Well,
yeah, I've seen a couple. Yeah,
but it started off as a short film. Well, they started. Let me rephrase that. It was a feature film. They wrote the feature film. They tried to pitch it the traditional way. Hey, we got the script. We want to shoot it. They was like, you know what? Give me like a proof of concept. So what they did was take a scene from that. It was like an 8-minute scene, and it was a scene where the guy, I think, woke up. Well, no, what scene it was. But they just took a scene from the film. They shot it and was like, look, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like. It was only like 8 minutes. And then they got funding. And the next year they did the whole
there's a franchise. Now there's a franchise.
It was the person that wrote it and the person that directed it. It was like a team. So I forgot the guy's name. But the writer, he wrote it, and then his friend directed it, and they pitched it as that. And they both was able to make the feature film. And then their careers pretty much jumped off from there.
Yeah, franchise.
Yeah. And so that was kind of like a
so
thing.
it worked.
Like, it's like, let me see. Right. It's like a reel in a sense. Like, let me see. It's just like if you have somebody gonna give you some money. It's like, I like the idea, but let me see what can you do before I give you all of this money. I give you something to just give me a little
film piece. Taste. Right.
And if you got it, then we can do something bigger. So I think that's kind of like that, how they do that.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Okay. Yeah, that works.
Before we wrap up, man, I wanted to talk about the experience as like a SAG actor and how, people get involved, how people cross over, some benefits you think, just talk about it.
Yeah. Well, one thing, just to make a point, that becoming SAG doesn't make it easier for you to book something. Okay. I think it might even make it harder, because now you're in that SAG pool where these actors are more seasoned, ready to come in. They come in ready. So the word you use, competition. But what being SAG does for you is it makes you eligible for those SAG projects, at least for the audition.
Okay.
There's projects you can't get on unless you're SAG. For example, television, like Chris, he booked on Power. That's a SAG gig. You can't just get on there unless you're SAG. So in that case, you have to be SAG.
Okay.
As far as how do you become SAG, if you work background, you need 3 background gigs and 3 SAG projects.
Okay.
Now, if it's a speaking role, you just need 1.
Okay.
If you have 1 line, if you walk in and say hello, and that was your only scene and the only line, but it's a SAG project, now you can join SAG. So that's how that works. Now, from a producing point, if as far as hiring SAG actors to work on your project.
Okay.
Now, for the most part, if depending on the contract you have with SAG, the program you're on, you have to pay the SAG actors a certain scale. Now, for guys like you and me who are just coming up, if we have a shorter project or a lower budget project, it could be a full feature film, but a lower budget project, then you can put in for the micro, and that's something you go right online, and within 8 minutes you have your micro agreement.
Nice.
And what it does for you is it gives you only need 1 SAG actor in the project, just 1, and it's negotiable between you and the actor. Okay. So if you don't have the means to pay, it's acceptable under SAG rules, just under a micro.
As long as it's micro.
As long as it's a micro so you don't have to pay the actor. You can maybe agree to give them footage and give them IMDb credit, but you don't have to pay him. Or you can just say, hey, I'll give you $50 or whatever it is. Okay. So it's negotiable. Okay. But to make another point is with a micro, the SAG actor doesn't get a pension credit. Gotcha. So, and all this stuff is online. You can always Google it, and read it and understand those agreements. Now, if you have the means to pay actors, then you can go above the micro, which is the low budget. Okay. The ultra low budget. Okay. In that case, now you can give the actor SAG eligibility. Okay. So that's a nice thing. You have a group of guys that are working for you, working hard, like they did that day when you filmed. Yes. And you want to compensate them. I mean, you give them SAG paperwork now, make them eligible. Give them. So that's it. It all depends on the means. The director, the producer has. Awesome. All right.
Nah, that's beautiful, man. So, and I'm glad you talked about that, because a lot of people don't know, and they get into it maybe not knowing, or
many producers don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know all of. You actually gave me a lot of game on SAG and everything. So I definitely appreciate that. So before we wrap up, tell us, about the film. How can people see it?
Well, New Earth, real quick, it's about the colonization beyond Earth, where they find a planet. It's 6 years away. It takes 6 years to get there. Okay. They build a spaceship that can make the trip, and they go through the trials and tribulations of traveling for 6 years to get to this planet that's has an environment that where humans can thrive and breathe and grow stuff and have food. So, and then afterwards, and that's where you came in and you filmed for me. What happens afterwards? What is the human behavior? So that's what and they can watch and get a glimpse of it. It's probably better for them to watch it. And it's right on YouTube, just under my name, Issy Caraballo, and then look at New Earth. Okay. And it's only 9 minutes and 2 scenes, and they get a glimpse. Get a little taste of what that human behavior is. Yes. And they probably, when they see it, they'll probably say, "Ooh, what the hell was that?" What the? But whoa.
But it gives I think it gives it replayability, where it's like, okay, maybe I caught that, didn't catch that. Let me go back. Right. It makes you excited to see more. Pause. All
right. Like when the governor opens the intelligence report, they can actually, pause it and read the intelligence report,
Yeah.
And I thank you for filming it for me, man.
Man, it was fun.
You stepped up,
Yeah.
and that was, much appreciated.
No problem, man. It was fun working with you, man. It's been a pleasure working with you as an actor. So it was cool to work with you as
regrets.
Yeah. And we haven't even said it yet, but if you've seen the film, then you realize that this guy's played the father of Doobie, which is played by Chris Alec Stevens. And everybody talks about your character, man. It was a few scenes, but everybody, one of my best friends from college, he was like, yo, man, dad crazy. He funny as heck, man. But you played it, man. You really played it. I think it was an honest portrayal of the character and something that somebody in that position would actually deal with. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you bringing it out the way you did. And I just can't wait to
It's a good film. It covers the whole foster system. And it's a real situation where these kids are coming up and sometimes the parents just can't have the kid. Now this kid is left out there. And I think quite a few people will appreciate your film. I know other people who also have wanted to do shorts on the same topic. So it's a big thing.
Yeah, I think I had people that's like, you can actually probably showcase this in like foster care and somehow get into the systems. And I was like, I didn't really think about that. But it's a lot of people that's dealing with those issues.
Yeah, and speaking of my character in the film, it shows the difficulties that a kid would go through, where here you have Doobie who wants to adopt a girl and teach her how to box and raise her as his own daughter. And you have the father who's just a difficult person. And he just says, no, like he doesn't like her. And then you can see him when they're eating and he's just kind of looking at her like, giving her,
Don't like him.
like, why my son doing this? And that's real. The rejection.
Where he's coming from, you know what I'm saying? You could understand everybody's perspective, her perspective, Doobie's perspective, the father's perspective, and there's nobody's right or wrong. It's just the way it is.
But in the end, it's that kid that's suffering. And that's where it touches people that say, "Oh man, wow!" Like makes you want to do something for foster kids.
It does, man. It really definitely makes you like, man, listen. Me and my girl be talking about it and all kinds of stuff where it's just like, you realize people just need an extra hand, in one way, shape, or form. We need an extra hand in filmmaking, you know what I mean? So, so speaking of regrets, it's out now on Tubi TV. You can download it on your app. You can download it on your phone. You can watch it on your tablet. It's a touching, heartfelt film, it's a coming of age story, people trying to find themselves, redemption, regrets, all of that stuff. But we all have regrets. We all have things we wish we would have done different. So please go watch that. It's free. Stream it. Share it with a film. And I just want to thank Issy for coming on the show. Talking film. It's a pleasure. I'm gonna have you come back if you don't mind, man.
Hey, let me know.
There's so much stuff that we probably didn't even touch on, man, because
an hour is not enough time to talk about it all.
Talk about film, man. This was just like an introduction, and I appreciate you being, one of my first guests to talk film. And hopefully we're gonna do some more work. We will be doing more work this year and beyond. It's a pleasure working with you. You have amazing talent, and I'm glad you got into this game even this late in your career. And it's never too late. And that's one thing I want to say. It's never too late to get into any industry, to try things, and you just never know what you're going to fall in love with. So make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all like, share, and if you want to come on, holla at me, man, because I love to talk film. I love making films, but I love just being around my peers. I love being around this industry, and I just thank y'all for tuning in, man. So I will see y'all next time. And tell everybody where they can find you and what's next.
On Instagram is issy.c.acting, issy.c.acting. And if you guys are actors, send me a clip, right? Headshot, and this way, you might fit a character, but you have to come and work.
There you go.
It's not easy dialogue. It's another level.
Yes.
Right. So you want to be challenged? Send me something.
There you go. And there you have it, man. And I will see y'all on the next Your Favorite Directors podcast. And we are tuning out. Make sure y'all subscribe, and we'll see you next time.